So let's say you know your MBTI personality type, but you still feel that you're kind of different to other people of that same personality type. Why is that? Number one, it could be because of your environment, that the environment you were raised in, the environment that you grew up in, the environment that you are in at work makes you act differently from your natural preferences and your natural personality type. So in effect, you kind of act a bit differently, and this becomes more ingrained in you. It becomes slowly more natural to you. So because you're acting differently, you may feel like, well, am I still an INFP, or whichever type you reported as? For this, the answer would be yes, you are still that type. You're just tapping into your less preferred, your non-preferred preferences, which is a great thing because it helps you become a more well-rounded person if you're doing it in a healthy way and in a healthy environment. Reason number two, of course, is individual differences. That just because you're an INFP or an INTJ does not mean that you're going to look exactly like another INFP or another INFJ. Everyone is different. I think of the personalities as a big house, and each room is like one of the 16 personalities. However, you may be in the INTJ or INFP or ESFP room, but your room will be decorated differently to other ESFPs, ISFPs, and so on. So it does not mean that because you're all in the same category of personalities that you're going to be exactly the same person. If you're curious about your individual differences and how it plays into your MBTI type, then I recommend that you take the MBTI personality assessment, step 2. Not only does this assessment tell you all about how your personality manifests in terms of behaviors and conflict management, communication, and so on, it tells you how you differ from other people of your same type. So for me, for example, I'm an ISFP. I really relate to the ISFP, although I know that I act out of my typical character a lot of the time. And when I took the step 2 assessment, I found it really interesting because for the most part, I was aligned with other ISFPs in terms of preferences and in terms of they break it down into further facets for you. So instead of just having 8, you have now 20 facets. And with each facet, they show you how you score compared to other INFPs or ISFPs for my case. And it was interesting that for most of them, I scored kind of on the similar skew to typical ISFPs, but there were a few things that were outliers that I didn't expect. So for example, the facet tough, I was on the tough side, which most ISFPs are actually on the tender side. This just indicates one of my individual differences, and it could be just something that's manifesting right now, or it could be something that's been in my character my whole life. The step 2 assessment is really interesting because it does take into account those individual differences, and it takes into account what you're using right now, like what aspects of your personality are in use right now, not just what you were born with and what are your natural preferences. So obviously for me right now, I'm using that tough facet of my personality rather than the tender one for whatever reason. If you're interested in a step 2 assessment, send me a message.